Hello and welcome to Gallery Teacher's English Masterclasses. Today we've got a more vocabulary focused lesson. We're looking at difficult dependent prepositions. And when I say difficult dependent prepositions, we're actually going to be looking at certain verbs and adjectives that can be followed by different prepositions with a change in meaning. So that's why we can consider them sometimes quite difficult. So that's the goal we'd like to reach towards today. But of course, to study and practice dependent prepositions, we need to know what they are. What is a dependent preposition? Well, these are the prepositions that follow certain verbs, nouns, and adjectives. For example, just like the example you all shared, depend on, right? On, the preposition, comes after depend. And this happens frequently and naturally in English, or rather, that's how we know we're looking at a dependent preposition, because it's the preposition that really naturally and frequently in the language follows a verb, noun, or adjective. So for example, if you try and research depend of or depend to, you will get very few results. But if you write in depend on, you should get many, many results, because this is a very natural pattern in English. Now, unfortunately, there are not many rules for learning and for understanding dependent prepositions. That's why they are quite a difficult area of language. So how can we do this? Well, by reading frequently and extensively. You will see many dependent prepositions. We can also research them in a corpus, in a language corpus, and also, of course, sometimes in a dictionary. If you research a verb, noun, or adjective, it will show you real example sentences where often you see the dependent preposition. Because they're more about patterns than rules, let's have a look at some of these patterns, right? So we're looking at the adjectives good or bad for versus at versus to. So do you see what I mean by these different prepositions? Following these adjectives have a different meaning. Let's have a look at them. You can be good or bad at something, and this relates to skills and abilities. For example, I'm terrible at tennis. Can we play something else? Now notice I have a different adjective here, not good or bad, but actually the stronger terrible adjective. We can also use adjectives of quality, if you like, because they have a similar meaning here. So we could also say brilliant at swimming, for example. Okay, so that's for quality, but more skill and ability. Something can be good or bad for somebody. SB stands for somebody, and STH stands for something, by the way. You'll see that a lot in this presentation. And if it's good or bad for somebody, this means it impacts on health and well-being, either positive or negative. Example, those probiotic drinks are really good for you. And lastly, good or bad to somebody or to something. This more relates to the treatment or behavior. Okay, example, he's so good to his parents and helps them all the time. That means his treatment towards his behavior towards his parents is really positive. So there is good or bad at, good or bad for, and good or bad to. Next pattern. Here we have care of, and to take care of, which is similar to care for, versus care about. Okay, let's look at the differences. To take care of somebody or something for somebody means to protect and provide for, right? Take care of, to protect and provide for. For example, I can't go to the cinema tomorrow. I need to take care of my little niece for my sister. So maybe she's babysitting, right? She is, this is very similar to the phrasal verb look after as well. In a similar way, we have to care for somebody or something. For example, we're both caring for our cousin while his broken leg heals. Now, this is different to care about somebody or something. This is more purely emotional, right? It's when you are preoccupied, maybe concerned about someone or something's welfare, maybe health, for example, but not just about health. It's about your attitude. For example, the company genuinely cares about the environment. It means the environment is something that they think about, that is important to them and preoccupies them. So that is the similar take care of and care for versus care about. One quick important note about the grammar of these phrases. Notice we can talk about taking care of and caring for in continuous form, but we can't do that with care, to care about, as a more a non-action, because it relates purely to feelings and emotions, right? So we can't say that the company genuinely is caring about the environment. It's more natural to say the company genuinely cares about the environment. Next. So now we have make or made. Be made for versus by. Made by versus made of. Different prepositions, different meanings. Let's have a look. To make something for somebody, or be made for somebody. So make for or made for, if it's passive, means that it's intended for a person or for a particular purpose. It's the reason something was created. Example, I made a cake for my friend's birthday. That's a nice active sentence. I made it for my friend's birthday. And in passive form, this cake was made for my friend's birthday. Okay, next we have made from or made of something. So I'm going to focus on made of something. This is about the material or the composition of something. So we can say the vase is made of porcelain. Okay, that's the material. The vase is made of porcelain. And lastly, when we talk about the maker or creator of the object, we need to use made by, to be made by somebody. For example, the porcelain vase was made by an expert potter. Right, so that is be made for, be made by, and be made of. Okay, I hope you're all following. Next, we have pleased about versus pleased with. These are similar actually, but there is a slight difference. So let's compare. To be pleased about something, typically that's a situation, right? A positive situation. For example, I'm pleased about passing my exam with flying colors. I'm pleased about passing my exam. Right, so that is a positive situation. And of course, I have included a little idiom there, to pass with flying colors, successfully, yes, with excellent marks. And then, of course, we have to be pleased with somebody, pleased with. Typically, this with is with a person. And we can also use the reflexive pronoun myself, right? If you are the one you are pleased with. Example, I'm pleased with myself for passing that exam. I'm pleased with myself. Or I'm pleased with somebody else. So another adjective, emotion, upset. We have both upset about and we have upset with. So they're both for a negative situation, but the focus is different. We can be upset about something. Typically, that's a negative situation. For example, he's upset about not getting that job he applied for. So that's we're giving here the reason for the disappointment, the negative situation. His job application wasn't successful. He's upset about this. Now compare to be upset with somebody. This relates to the person who caused that negative emotion, right? Or maybe that negative situation. For example, she was upset with her husband for forgetting their wedding anniversary. She's upset with a person, in this case, her forgetful husband, right? Here we have concerned with, to be concerned with or be concerned about. Now, there is a significant difference in meaning, I would say, with these two examples. We can be concerned with something or somebody, and that means it's the topic, it's the subject of something. Look at some examples. The documentary is concerned with the history of ancient Rome. The minister's speech was concerned with improving education. So this means the speech, the documentary, the topics, these were the topics. Notice the difference. To be concerned about somebody or something, that's more to be worried or anxious. For example, we're all concerned about the future health of the planet with the impacts of global warming. To be concerned about the planet, that's more to be worried, preoccupied. Be concerned with, topic, be concerned about, that emotional state of worry or anxiety. Speaking of anxiety, we also have be anxious for versus be anxious about. Again, significant difference in meaning. So let's compare. You can be anxious for something. That's usually a situation that we are waiting eagerly for, right? Waiting with excitement. Example, we were all anxious for the holiday season to start. Whereas we have to be anxious about something or be anxious about somebody, that's to feel worried or anxious again, right? For example, she's feeling quite anxious about her driving test tomorrow. So it doesn't mean she's waiting eagerly or excitedly, right? It means that she's worried about this. To be careful with the distinction between those two. So back quickly. So that's be anxious for and be anxious about.